If you've been working out for years, but you still feel like you look soft and flat whenever you diet, you're probably making the exact same fat loss mistake I used to make. You do not need another lower calorie diet or to add in heated sculpt classes or to do high intensity cardio in order to look sculpted and defined. You actually need a completely different approach. I'm a women's fitness coach. I've been in the gym for a decade and I've been coaching for 6 years. And over the last 4 months, I've lost 15 pounds of body fat. I went from 155 pounds to 140 pounds. And I did it all without losing my glutes, starving on 1,200 or 1,000 calories every single day, and burning out my energy. I run my own business and I work 12 to 14 hours every single day. So this is something that I was actually able to navigate living a busy lifestyle. Today, I'm going to give you the step-by-step masterclass on exactly how I dropped the fat, what I changed with my diet, what I ate, how my lifting changed, the exact mistakes and hiccups I had because I'm human, I'm not a robot, and how I'm setting myself up for my next 6 months of prioritizing building my glutes and building my shoulders. So grab a pen and paper and let's break this down. Okay, let's start with nutrition because this is where 96% of women ruin their cut before they even get started. Most women want to get defined and so they immediately slash their calories. They added in some heated sculpt or sauna classes because that's how you're gonna lose fat, right? They start eating these sad, tiny, eeny-weeny portions because small women eat small. They buy the fake or ultra-processed foods that claim they're high protein or zero-calorie noodles, and they wonder why all they're craving is peanut butter, chocolate, and more carbs. Please stop doing this. Just eat real, whole foods. Here's exactly what I did instead, and this is going to shock you. I spent the first month doing absolutely nothing. Well, not absolutely nothing. What I mean by nothing is I didn't change a single thing that I was already doing. My calories were around 2,300 every single day with about 145 grams of protein. This is where my body was maintaining itself. I hung out here for about 3 to 4 weeks because I needed to make sure I had a strong foundation and baseline before I went into a diet at all. Then, after 3 to 4 weeks of seeing my weight stay the same, of seeing my consistency stay the same, then I was ready for my diet. So I entered into a slight 300 calorie deficit every single day. And I upped my movement via steps. And I was aiming for about 0.8 to 1 pound of fat loss every single week. With movement, I just increased my steps by 2 to 2,500 steps every single day, which for me looked like an extra 20 to 30 minute walk. After about 5 to 6 weeks, I made my second adjustment, taking my calories from 2,300 at my maintenance to 2,000 and then down to 1,700 calories. My protein remained high at about 145 grams every single day, and this was in order to protect my muscle. All of my calorie reductions came from my carbs and my fats. Now, how did I survive the 1,700 calories without losing my mind? There were 3 key things that I focused in on that were an absolute game changer for me sticking to my calories. The first thing was volume swapping. Instead of eating a tiny little puny woony sad plate of 1 piece of asparagus, 1 grain of rice, and 1 bite of chicken, I just manipulated my food volume. So instead of having 200 grams of rice with my chicken and my veggies, instead I would have 100 grams of rice, so half the amount I had, and I would replace the other 100-gram half with a veggie. So a low-calorie, high-volume food. So this could look like zucchini, bell pepper, green beans, whatever vegetable, squash, whatever I was feeling on the day. And I cooked these all on my Blackstone grill, and they were chef's kiss. This allowed me to eat the same exact amount of food I was eating, but just the calories were different. The same space of my plate was taken up, but it was lower calorie version. This kept my fiber higher, and this kept me more full, so I didn't ever go hungry. Second thing was True Fruit. And if you don't know what True Fruit is, let me show you. This is unsponsored, by the way, but it's these guys, if you've seen these before. You have to realize that you're gonna have cravings in a cut, and it's important that you actually indulge in those cravings. I know that sounds crazy, and maybe you've never heard a fitness coach say that before, but that's the truth. Think about it. When you have a craving, the more you suppress it, the more you try to substitute it for a healthy or sugar-free alternative, the worse the craving becomes. I have a rule for myself. If I have a craving, I fulfill it. And I just work it into my daily calories and macros so that I'm still on track with my goals. So instead of trying to suppress my cravings and my little sweet treat indulgences that I love to have, I just allocated some of my carbs and fats from my daily macros for this so I could still reach my goals and stay within targets. Fitting foods in that you actually love and crave is the sure way to actually adhere to your cut instead of canceling it after 4 days because it's too restrictive. And some people are gonna hate me for this, but it's caffeine. Everyone on social media loves to hate on caffeine. It's destroying your hormones. It's spiking your cortisol. It's making you bloated and puffy. If you aren't abusing caffeine and hooked up to an IV with it going into your veins, you are gonna be completely fine. Caffeine is quite honestly such a huge tool to use in your cut because it is a natural appetite suppressant, almost nature's Ozempic in a way. I always say the two natural forms of Ozempic, if you want to call it, are fiber and caffeine. Caffeine is your best friend for appetite control in a calorie deficit, and research has shown that it improves your training intensity and focus. So I usually have an energy drink or a pre-workout for my workout, and then I usually have 1 cup of coffee or I'll make matcha in the morning. The caffeine just helps me stay locked in on my goals and keep my intensity high in the gym in a cut. Just don't abuse it. It can be a tool. Now let's talk about movement and training, because this determines whether the 15 pounds that you lose is body fat or the hard-earned muscle. The biggest mistake I see women make in their cut is switching to light-weighted exercises, high reps, HIIT style workouts, high intensity cardio, or just getting rid of weights altogether and doing Pilates or heated sculpt classes. That isn't a fast track to fat loss. That's a fast track to muscle loss. Light weights and 30 to 40 reps of a burnout exercise is not toning you. What you have to remember is your body needs a reason to keep the muscle. If you stop lifting heavy and you stop progressively overloading with weights in resistance, your body will have no reason to keep the muscle that you have. And so it will let it go. AKA, your body will eat it in your calorie deficit instead of just fat mass. So even in my cut, I sprinkled in a few heated yoga and Pilates classes. I sprinkled in some running and some cardio that I enjoyed, but I did not skip out on my heavy strength training workouts. That was the foundation, the core of my training on a weekly basis. I kept lifting heavy with true progressive overload. I did 1 6-week block of training for strength and conditioning to build my endurance, to build my strength in the gym overall of lifting heavier. And then I spent another 6-week block prioritizing mainly hypertrophy, which means muscle building. So I was working in a moderate to higher rep range. So for my strength and conditioning block, my reps looked from 4 to 6 reps. And then my hypertrophy block that I did after was anywhere between 8 to 15 to 20 rep range. Now for my daily movement, I live in Tampa, Florida, and I live in a very walkable part of the city. I walk a ton, and my baseline steps before I even started my cut was around 8,000 to 9,000 steps every single day. At the end of my cut, my steps had gone from 8,000 to 9,000 to 12,000 to 14,000 steps every single day. Some days even higher. My weekends, usually Saturday, I end the day around 20,000 steps because I walk around, I go shopping at the mall, so many steps. That combined with the Florida summer heat and sweating a ton, I feel like I'm able to burn a significant amount of calories just getting in my steps without it feeling like it's taking over my life. Now, around month 3 in my cut, I made a huge mistake, a grave mistake. I decided to accept a challenge from my boyfriend to run 2 miles 4 times per week. So Monday through Thursday, 4 days back to back. 1 or 2 of those days every week, I was training legs, and I committed to running 2 miles. The extra impact and fatigue immediately started competing with my recovery in the gym. It caught up to me really quickly. I ended up having some pelvic pelvic floor pain. I ended up having a little bit of knee pain, patella pain in my left knee because I was not giving myself the recovery I needed. Now, the thing I did right about when I incorporated running is I actually boosted up my calories by about 200 calories on the days I was running. So I did this because I wanted to stay in the same deficit that I was previously, and I knew that the running was not optimal for my results, and so I needed more food to help negate the negative recovery impact. However, it wasn't enough. This is why more isn't always better, and even if you're eating more, there is still such a thing as doing too much. So I immediately removed the running after a few weeks of noticing the changes in my body, and I strictly stuck to my step goal and my heavy lifting in the gym. And the craziest thing happened. I started dropping even more weight. Sometimes all you need is your body to actually have enough energy and recovery for it to start responding again. So don't add high impact cardio or an extra class that is not in your plan for the sake of burning extra calories, or even just for fun, to be honest with you. It will drain your energy, it will impact recovery negatively, and it will stall your progress. Here's the most important takeaway of this entire video. A cut is a temporary event, not a lifestyle. Contrary to what social media is trying to preach right now. I dropped the 15 pounds of body fat, but I'm not staying at 1700 calories forever and everything that I've currently been doing. Staying in a perpetual diet is why so many women stay flat and soft instead of getting that defined look. Now that I'm at 140 pounds, my body is lighter, which means I have a brand new maintenance baseline. So in a nutshell, I need to do things now to maintain my progress, which is different than what I need to do to continue in the cut with seeing more leanness or more progress in my fat loss phase. What you do to maintain your body is different than what you do to achieve a specific goal. What this means is my maintenance calories are different now than what they used to be before I lost 15 pounds. And the amount of steps in training that I need to do also needs to shift now that my goals have also shifted. I am officially entering my 6th month building phase, but I'm not hopping right into adding in 1,000+ calories and calling it a ball. Here is my exact protocol. Month 1 to 2, reverse diet, which is exactly what it sounds. I'm doing the opposite of a diet. I'm reversing my food up and my cardio. That way I can maintain my body at the same body fat percentage and leanness I have now. This is gonna restore my metabolic rate. It's gonna make my hormones feel even better. My energy is gonna come up even higher, and I'm gonna be able to train harder. Month 3, I'm gonna hold steady at my new maintenance. I need to let my body kind of settle into this new baseline so it knows how to respond. So many women make a huge mistake of thinking they go from a cut to a bulk. They increase way too much food too quickly. They scale back cardio or scale back training too quickly. And what happens is you have weight rebound. You gain most of the fat back that you lost in a matter of weeks. Months 4 to 6, I'm entering my lean build, which means I'm gonna eat in a slight surplus of 5 to 10% over my new maintenance. This is going to allow me to build muscle tissue. You are not gonna build muscle tissue just hanging out at maintenance. The amount of muscle tissue you're gonna be able to put on at maintenance is very minimal, and so ideally, I need to be eating in a slight surplus. My primary targets for this next building phase are to grow my glutes and to grow my shoulders. That is gonna give me the illusion more of an hourglass shape. I also need to dial in my hip mobility because as I get stronger and build more muscle, my hips tend to get a little bit tighter. So that is also gonna be in the forefront of my training. So knowing the theory to how to cut and how to reverse yourself out and start building is one thing. Knowing how to actually structure that for your own body, your career, your lifestyle, and where you're currently at is another thing. And it's where most women get stuck on their own. So I built something really cool for you. I built a quick 2-minute quiz that's gonna diagnose exactly where you're at and map out the next 4 weeks of what you need to follow to start on your next phase to hit your goals. It's just gonna ask you a few questions of where you're currently at so I can actually give you the most accurate thing to do for the next 4 weeks. Now that resource is gonna give you the whole blueprint or framework to get started. But if you're a woman who's been lifting in the gym for years, you want something more hands-on, this is exactly what I build out for my clients one-on-one, totally personalized and customized to you where you're currently at, and you'll have that accountability portion. If you're interested in something more hands-on like that, I'll throw my coaching application in the bio and you can apply if you're interested. Okay, drop a comment below and let me know what phase you're you're in right now. Are you in a cut? Are you in a reverse? Are you in a build? Or have you been feeling on the fence? Let me know. I'm gonna reply to everyone in the comments who comments on this video. Also, if you love this video, hit the subscribe button, because in my next video, I'm gonna take you through a fully mic'd up workout in the gym of exactly what I'm doing to stay lean in my building phase while growing my glutes and adding more definition to my shoulders. So I'll see you then.